Hello, I'm back with a bowl of puffed rice. This is the very best breakfast I have had in my life. Mmm, wow. $1,000 breakfast. Mmm, wonderful. Let me finish the puffed rice, then I will start reading. I'll give some. For example, 63% of the intuitive respondents say they would prefer to get $3,400 this month rather than 2,800 next month. Only 37% of those who solve all three puzzles correctly have the same short-sighted preference for receiving a smaller amount immediately. When asked how much they will pay to get overnight delivery of a book they have ordered, the low scorers on the cognitive reflection test are willing to pay twice as much as the high scorers. Frederick's findings suggest that the characters of our psychodrama have different personalities. System 1 is impulsive and intuitive. System 2 is capable of reasoning, it is cautious, but at least for some people, it is also lazy. We recognize related differences among individuals. Some people are more like their system 2, others are closer to their system 1. The simple test has emerged one of the better predictors of um, testers of um, thinking, with Stanovich and his longtime collaborator Richard Paste originally introduced. I don't know. With Stanovich and I'm trying to find where I was. Okay. Introduced the terms System 1 and System 2. They now prefer to speak of Type 1 and Type 2 processes. Stanovich and his colleagues have spent decades studying differences among individuals in the decades um, in the kinds of problems with this book is concerned. They've asked one basic question in many different ways: what makes some people are more susceptible than others to biases of judgment? Stanovich published his conclusions in a book that titled Rationality and the Reflective Mind, which offers a bold and distinctive approach to the topic of this chapter. It draws a sharp distinction between two parts of System 2. Indeed, the distinction is so sharp he calls them separate minds. One of these minds, he calls it algorithmic, deals with slow thinking and demanding competition. Some people are better than others in this task of brain power. They are the individuals who excel in intelligent tests and are able to switch from one task to another quickly and efficiently. However, Stanovich argues that high intelligence does not make people immune to biases. Another ability is involved which he labels rationality. Stanowitz's concept of a rational person is similar to what I earlier labeled engaged. The core of his argument is that rationality should be distinguished from intelligence. In his view, superficial lazy thinking is a flaw in the reflective mind, a failure of rationality. This is unattractive and thought-provoking, thought-provoking idea. In support of it, Stanovich and his colleagues have found that the pattern ball question and others like it are somewhat better indicators of our susceptibility to cognitive errors than are conventional measures of intelligence, such as IQ test. Time will tell whether the distinction between intelligence and rationality can lead to new discoveries. Speaking of control, she did not have to struggle to stay on task for hours. She was in a state of flow. His ego was depleted after a long day of meetings, so he just turned to standard operating procedures instead of thinking through the, through the problem. He didn't bother to check whether what he said made sense. Does he usually have a lazy system too, or was he unusually tired? Unfortunately, she tends to say the first thing that comes into her mind. She probably also has trouble delaying gratification. Weak system too. I have been operating with System 1 lately a lot. I had a major panic attack lately, and I was triggered by one of my relatives, and the information she had given was false. But I was reading Marcus Aurelius this morning, and that the only thing that can improve our life is the quality of mind and thoughts we have. We have no control over the outside world, all the physicity, everything. Like you will be bullied, you will be abandoned, you will be fucked, and all those bad things will happen to you again and again. Yeah, I mean, when I refer you, that means I. I'm not doing it for anyone else, and I don't find myself credible enough to give advice to someone else. Anyways, so this is a very interesting quote that I have learned from Marcus Aurelius, and like when to stop system one and when to engage system two. This is a very important trade-off in life. Like when stakes are very high, we need to invoke system two. And another thing, like to not reacting on our subconscious negativity. Like there is a continuous negative loop that keeps going on inside our mind. Like you are a bogus boo, or everything is falling apart. So a bad inner voices that keeps running inside my mind, just not reacting on that, dealing things with peaceful um, and coherent manner. Like I was experiencing very huge large amount of um, I would say intrusive thoughts during that week. This week, when I was um, I mean, almost in any interactions, I was feeling like maybe that person is not respecting me, or maybe that person is not giving me um, required treatment. but everyone has a life, everyone has their own priorities. So I was in a conflict with other people's boundaries, but I have also, I also avoid people. I also um, do not respond to people instantly when I am engaged. So um, I was thinking from the dualistic mind and respecting these people's boundaries, and I'm really happy that I have dealt with this thing, or dealt with these issues very much peacefully. Another thing I have understood lately, which I have been trying to understand for a long time, how to sustain attraction. So, mm, yes, scarcity works. I was trying to hack the business of spatial feeling, and um, then I realized like spatial feeling doesn't being created in normal circumstances, because in normal times we consider it boring, mostly available, and we don't feel any special things for it until it is very rare, or it is like always I'm trying to get hold of it and it is getting away from me. In that way, like I kind of I think in that way I create some amount of scarcity, and like um, learning to say no to myself and also others, which is the virtue important to be practiced in this area. Like personally, I abandon myself to be available for others, and also um, my need for seeking comfort and validation from external resources spikes very often, which I am trying to overlook these days, and looking for internal resources, like if I journal my thoughts, if I meditate, sit with myself, or like just uh, having the ability to process myself, just sitting with myself, or journaling my thoughts, or another practice I have done. Recording myself in a private video, like what are the intrusive thoughts I am having, and cross-checking that with the reality of that moment. A lot, maximum times is mostly a catastrophic mental response, or some delusion being cooked up in my mind of some, or maximum cases very unfortunate event in future that might never happen, or that doesn't have any possibility to happen. So living in fear is that I do not want to do anymore. I feel liberated, because like I have lost a lot of things in my life, but I have thrived with most of those losses. So that's what the concept of anti-fragility. Anti-fragility is something. How can I gain from all the unforeseen, unpredictable events in life, all the catastrophic events that I have never assumed, and while trying to practice anti-fragility, I have ignored my day-to-day lives, like um, inner sense of well-being. That's what being mentioned by Penny Brown always. It's just a guidebook of like the things that we already do. She just articulated it like at any moment we need to live fully, just living a moment fully as up to its possibility. So is the trade-off that being prepared for every possible worst outcomes as well as living fully at this very moment. That's what I'm trying to do. Thanks a lot for listening.